So I'm Brenton Good. I live in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm a painter and a printmaker. I work mostly abstractly, but I'm an abstract painter who kind of deals with reality and landscape. I teach over at Messiah College, where I've been for a number of years now. I've always enjoyed making paintings and prints. I mean, the type of work has changed a lot over the years, I think. I think I went to graduate school to just become better at it, like to make better work, I think. I never planned on teaching, I don't think. That wasn't part of the goal. I didn't go to graduate school to teach. But I ended up doing that anyway after the fact. So my background, my upbringing, my family, church growing up was Mennonite. So I grew up in a Mennonite church, an Anabaptist church, and some people know, some people don't know anything about Anabaptist denominations. But in the Mennonite church, there isn't really a huge place for visual art. A lot of it is somewhat, I think the word is iconoclastic. But yeah, so there wasn't a lot of art, visual art, in the church growing up, at least not the church that I grew up in. And I remember feeling conflict over that as I was feeling compelled to become an artist, to make a career being an artist, which was always deemed somewhat of a worldly profession, right? So trying to figure out how those things marry, if they do. And I went off to school to study art, not necessarily having figured out how that would relate yet. I just knew I wanted to make art. I can't remember a time when I wasn't drawing, maybe. I was always drawing, and I think I was always good at it, maybe. That sounds pretentious, maybe. But I could always draw, yeah, accurately. I could always draw from life, and it looked good, and people liked what I drew, I guess. Over the years, I think I found art to be, it became more cathartic, maybe. There was therapy in there someplace, maybe. I think I felt better after I did it. I think I could work through things in it, and then found that I was better for it. I think it was the reason I kept making things, perhaps. During my undergrad years, I did spend a semester in Italy, and spending a semester in Italy visiting, these monster churches with amazing art throughout, and trying to, and being kind of exposed to that, and how art is used in worship there was certainly a huge factor for me. But leaving undergrad, with my art degree, and then working, and then going on to graduate school and just making art, I think most of the years there, I wasn't trying, I don't think, to marry those ideas. I wasn't trying to figure out how to make art that was necessarily about my Christianity. I think I just really wanted to make good art. I just wanted to be challenged and make strong stuff. And I mean, there's an argument there for using your talents, right? For not wasting your talents, and for just simply performing to the best of your ability, whether you're an athlete or a builder or an artist, right? And looking at and finding out that most of the artists that I really enjoyed were actually Buddhists or heavily influenced by Eastern philosophy all through grad school. And so I was reading a lot and then trying to remedy that, not just remedying what does it mean to be an artist and be a Christian, but what does it mean to be interested in these other ideas about aesthetics, decision making when you're in the studio. How do you make art? Personality, and my parents would attest to this. My personality has always been to question somewhat, and to want to know it, and not be told it. I don't want to be told to just get in line. I want to wrestle with it and then get to that place of understanding on my own. And there's certainly, and I don't know if this is my background or if there's probably a range of denominations that would argue that that education is temptation, and why would you read this or view that if that could lead you down a sinful path. And I've never been I want to read the philosophy. I want to read I want to view the art, and I want to wrestle with those themes myself and come to a better level of understanding, because I want to be stronger for it, right?
So these are the Eastern arts, or just art as a full?
Well, yeah, it's all of it, I think, and not.
Speak a little bit. Yeah, mention Eastern arts. Or
Yeah.
So
Okay, so
we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
They
Yeah.
counted it.
Well, I'm talking about. I mean, do I want to get on the road of like reading The Birth of Tragedy or not? But no. For me, so a great example was maybe the graduate study for me, becoming very kind of fascinated by the fact that all of my favorite artists, or the artists that were impacting me the most in the studio, were all either Buddhists or heavily influenced by Eastern philosophy. And so my thing was, well, I don't want to make little copies of Bryce Martin, right? I don't want to make little Bryce Martins. I want to read what Bryce Martin's reading, right? Not that I would ever become maybe James Turrell and start making work of that nature, but I want to understand why he's making those decisions. What's he influenced by? And at that point in my life, I don't think I was questioning enough things anyway that I didn't feel like it was. Yeah, I'm trying to think I was reading it to make me a better artist, or to understand other artists better, and then really wrestling with how do those two things meet, and can they? Can Zen Buddhism and Christianity meet? And of course they can. I mean, there's lots of overlap at times, but I remember wrestling with it, and then trying to find a place where they meet, and a friend recommended Thomas Merton, and reading Merton, all of a sudden, after a couple of years of struggling with this, like, oh, well, this makes complete sense. The approach to prayer is so, I mean, it can be very similar depending how you're approaching prayer, and then letting those moments of inspiration occur. So yeah, not feeling like it was. Well, I think my response to the individuals who would tell me, why would you read that philosopher, right? Why would you look at that art? Because that might cause you to stumble. And my response has always kind of been, well, if my faith is that weak that I'm going to stumble from that, like that's. And I mean, I'm not denigrating that. I think that's a valid. There's validity there. There's truth in that too. I mean, you shouldn't. I'm trying to be careful about my answer. I don't want to sound flip, or I don't want to sound too irresponsible. I'm not saying go look at whatever you want and go read whatever you want, but if you do it with the right mindset, and you're gaining a deeper understanding, and your work is stronger for it. Your faith is stronger for it, I think. I hope. I've always been fascinated by the grid since I've been working with abstraction, and I think the grid for me has always been a starting point, and historically it's been about flatness, right? The grid shows you this is a flat plane, but for me it's a way of setting off the organic elements too. So again, those hard edges and that flatness, that's about contrasting the chance. So obsessive control paired with complete chance, right? So I'm not going to control this, but I'm going to control this.